full body stretch out. We're going to start right off with, you'll definitely need your chair and your pillow, possibly even 2 pillows, because your knee is going to be on the pillow and your foot is going to be on the chair. And if you're already thinking, oh man, this one's not my favorite, I hope at some point it will turn into something that you can remember to do and turn into one of your favorites. This is such a useful stretch for as tight as we know our body is. If your body fights this, and I'm just going to keep reiterating the build-up phase to it. The difference between stretch and strain, right? So if when you put your knee down and your foot up, your body is like all crimped, then do yourself a favor, scooch forward a little bit so that only just barely the tiptoes touch, and that still might not be enough to free you up to get your full rise position. So since we're in the few seconds of setup, right? If you don't try the version that gets you into a higher build-up position, then you'll never know the feeling of, oh, like I really can get really straight line, feel the stretch in a way that feels good. It's the reframing of, the stretch is so intense that I don't want to spend time there. We want to reframe that and go, oh, I can really see and feel the benefits of what the stretch potential is if you stack yourself in the right spot, right? So I'm going to go ahead and remove the second block because I don't need it. Take the leg that's in the front, move it a little bit wide so your body has some place to float down into. And this pushed back derriere, I want you to get space between your abdomen and the front thigh, pelvic tilt, raise the arm up. Your goal is to just keep working your pelvic tilt. Okay, so now crisscross hands over shoulders. Lift the elbows a little bit, reset that nice pelvic tilt. I want you to twist your body towards your front knee. Keep squeezing your derriere. Bring the body back to neutral, release the hands, let your whole hip line start its forward drive, hands to the floor. If this foot isn't far enough forward, then when you bring hands to the floor, your body will kind of look like this. And you'd be like, well, I don't really feel anything happening. You should feel like your body has taken almost what's called like a runner's lunge position, okay? All right, opposite hand to the forward anchoring foot. That's gonna stay on the floor. Free up your body, raise that other arm, shoulders out of the ears. If you're gonna take a look at that knee, even though you can't see mine, okay? If you feel like your knee is pushing and the weight of your foot, right? The weight is rolled to the outside edge of your foot, try to draw that knee back into you a little bit so that you've got some integrity here. And now that high arm comes down, pull the thigh towards that shoulder, twist the other arm. This one's intense. Bring it out of the air. Take your body and just push your hips back to get a straighter leg. You can walk your hands back if you want. You can pull the toes up off the floor. Put the foot back to flat position, bend the leg, bring the body up. So we could roll through this, 3, 4, 5 times, but we've already spent at least a minute here. Can you make a smooth transition? This is probably the easiest way to transition, both knees on your cushion and sweep the leg. Here we go. Find your zone. Zip and tuck. The front foot It's a little bit wide. Right? Pull the hips through, squeeze. Oh, it's amazing how tight those babies are. A few more seconds just in your hold. Ready? Take the arm that goes with that trailing leg, reach up. In the process of you reaching up, you're going to try really hard to not collapse through the lumbar. So draw back, zip up, get the shoulders out of the ears. Right? Both hands coming into crisscrossed. Keep actively pinching your derriere and twist towards the front leg. So as you twist towards this front knee, you're going to draw that front knee towards the middle as well, because sometimes the legs kind of want to float off to the side, but we're trying to get our parts to track. And so that's the control. Bun is tight. Come back to neutral. Your whole body is going to take its forward press. Test the waters. The stretch line increases. Hand, opposite hand to the floor. Raise that free arm. One of the indicators of whether or not your shoulders are where they need to be is if you can get your thoracic spine rotation. So when we add the arm, all we're doing is that. It's called thoracic spine rotation. And if your shoulders, if you can get them out of your ears, you'll find that you have that maneuverability. Bring that hand down. Twist the other direction. This one's intense. Bring the hand down. Take your hip line, press back for your little bit of your hamstring stretch. Maybe you can push yourself all the way back and now your buns do touch the foot back there. And this other leg is as straight or bent as it needs to be, whatever's going to render you your best stretch without straining your parts. Lay the foot down if it's not already. Bend the body. Start peeling yourself up, away. And now you might put your hands back down, but we're going to stand up. So I'm just going to pull that leg back, use the foot that's on the chair, bear down, push up, push up, push up, release and relax. Walk it out. Right into our 90-90 sit. All right. So you move your little cushion. Can you sit facing your gadget, right? And I'm normally facing the screen for the 90-90 sit. So today I'll try to get my lines cleaned up. But if your mat is on the floor, it becomes really visually useful to you. Think about 90-90 sit. So as I look at my knee is lining up with the edge of my mat, but I can tell my hip isn't. So it just allows you points of reference, right? Okay. That's it. Ready to start? Something odd. You might just feel like your body's fighting the stretch a little bit, just being in this position. So we're going to take the far arm, let that arm help you glide your body into a more uprighted position. Bring the shoulder from the trailing side, square your parts up. So we've got two actions already happening. The far arm is pushing you, and that shoulder on the trailing side is rotating. This is how we start getting the stretch that goes from the insertion of the hamstring on your front leg, and it might be running all the way up the rump on that front side. So keep pushing with the down arm, twisting with the far shoulder, and then you just try to get your lean going without breaking the spine out of that nice S sit. The arm comes up, lengthen like someone's standing right in front of you, right? Like you're trying to pass something off to that person. Use that hand. The down hand keeps leveraging you into a more square line. You just take the stretch if it feels good. There's an awkward sensation to this, right? And you may be really tight through the SI. So don't be surprised if that's where you feel the majority of the stretch. Bring the arm out of the equation, right? Unhinge yourself, swing your body to the other 90 sit. This by far is one of these two stretches, these are my absolute go-to stretches every day, and especially on the days where I've played pickleball. Yep. Okay. Now, because this is a static hold stretch, this is not the first stretch is a fluid flow stretch that I would do prior to pickleball, or if I was going for a run or even bicycle riding, I would do that flow off the chair. But then after I finish my activity, this is a must do because the court sports create so much torque that sometimes we get a little out of alignment without really realizing that we're out of alignment. And this stretch is a saving grace to the body. So body, posture, check out hip and knee on the line. Yep, look, foot, everything is clean. Use your down arm to help slide the trunk. Right? Start your forward reach. You can raise the arm, see if you can get your bicep in line with your ear. Keep twisting from the trailing shoulder and pushing from the front arm. And here's where my adjustments happen. It's like pop, pop, pop. It's a series of no pain, just like almost like a joint popping. And those are my little facets getting back into alignment. Now, you might not get adjustments. This is just something that I know that I can put my body in. And if I'm feeling even slightly off, this is where I get my adjustments from. Release and relax. Now, bring that back leg around, square yourself up to the front for me. Just take a second to feel how your body feels. Okay. In your squared up position, we're going to let the bottoms of the feet touch each other. I know that you had a cushion a moment ago for your knee for when we did the first flow, right? Can you grab your cushion, even if it's your yoga block, even if it's your towel, and maybe get your buns on that cushion. The cushion is just going to help the tip. It's the tipping point of where we want our sits bones to be. Okay, so you're up, bottoms of the feet touching. I like to interlace my hands right over the toes, wedge those fingers down underneath the pinky toes, right? Pulling against my feet. And you can do your little flutters if you want. I have a sister that she was a cheerleader, and I just remember every single night she'd sit on the floor because this is the same sister, Brenda, who was really stiff because she gave up her flexibility routine decades ago. And when she was a cheerleader, she actually tried out, she made it, but she didn't have flexibility then either. So she would try, we're going to take the bounce out, let the elbows pull over the shins, bring yourself into your forward position. Now, if you let your spine round and your forehead comes down, but your back is all rounded, I want you to back out of it a little bit. Try to expand across the chest and lean into the stretch because the trunk is long, not because you're in C curve, and you might not get very far. I certainly have a stop point with this one. There's just no going further. And the funny thing is I don't feel like I can't go any further, but I don't have any pain anywhere that would say, oh, that's so tight. No wonder why you can't get any further. But I just can't go. And now release, let the lumbar release, right? You can go into a little bit of your C curve intentionally, pull up into S, rock back into C. So getting back to the real quick finish of the story, Brenda would sit there and flutter, like Flutter, just trying to get herself to be more limber through the inners. Now straighten your legs. So I don't know if the fluttering helps, but sometimes it feels good to just let those legs have a little bounce. Moving into the next degree. All right, so now that the leg is straight, we're going to be increasing the stretch line. Here we go. Open up. The beauty of your pillow, maybe even if you don't have an Airex pad, maybe your pillow is big enough for you to push your hands down into it to right your sit position. As soon as you load your arms and you're able to stretch your trunk, you'll feel the hip weight place itself into a more anatomically correct position called S, or your anterior tip. We want to take our hip bones, and instead of being in pelvic tilt, we want to rock those bones forward, which creates the S curve. And now forward lean. We are going to sweep. Can you do this? Come back over, right? And now work through the front. Stay along that side. Let the other long arm do its big sweep. Come over. Come back to that side. Holding. Do the exaggerated sweep. The other arm comes up and around. You're going to go over and over, right? Retrace your step and then sweep through the midline. That's your rhythm. The arm comes up. Get ready. Come over. Go back. And then sweep through the midline. Here you go. Come over. Inhale. Exhale. Get ready. Sweep through the midline. You've got one more, and that finishes us with an even from side to side. Once you come back and sweep to the other side, you're done with this one. Sweep. Now, back to neutral. Squish the legs together, resit the body. What I love about the Airex pad is that it's nice and soft, so it has a smidgen of compression, but there's a firmness to it so that you don't really feel like you need to reposition yourself because it doesn't give that much. Take one foot, pretzel, right? This is starting modified pretzel. And every time we get the leg to cross, right, one leg to cross the other, then we know we're hitting this outer band of that leg. Opposite hand pulls. Do not feel like you need to keep your foot on the floor. More importantly is for you to feel like you're establishing S and your anterior tip, right? So some of you, this won't be enough stretch. If you're feeling a nice gentle pull, stay on it, right? If you want more, then just fold that bottom leg under, right? When I fold the bottom leg under, I try to focus on the alignment of like having this knee come off right through the middle. So everything's lining up with the middle. The body wants to list. Put the butt cheek back down, lay into it. And then that might have you leaning the other way. How do you release your arm or do with your arm what you need to do? So when we come into the deeper stretch, it might actually be that it's not a deeper stretch, it's just more complex for the body. Because now that we have this extra little fight, you may be losing the focus of what the real basic stretch renders. Unfold, other side. We get to do it, right? Again, start with your basic, cross over the midline. Here we go, pull up. See if you can get off of the back sits bones and rock the hips forward, right? Pulling. Where is there resistance? What is your body in protest to? Maybe it's nothing. This weekend, I did not get on the pickleball. I had every intention. We had downpour, so wet conditions on Saturday morning. Bring that leg around. So I ended up in the gym on the elliptical, which is something I hadn't done for a long time, about 25 minutes of elliptical. And then yesterday I was in the pool, which was fabulous. Here we go. Shoulders down. As much as the body wants to lean, drive the hips back to their anchored position. You can always unfold that bottom leg if you feel like you've just lost the focus of the hip stretch. And if you're pulling with the same arm to the front leg, I just don't know how you're going to feel the stretch where it needs to be felt. So cross body anchor system is what we've got going here. Couple more seconds, that is. Release, relax. You're just going to slide yourself off of your little pillow. All right. You could probably move your support off your space, and we're going down to our back. As you start getting yourself positioned on your back, if you have your stretch out strap, that will come into use. Maybe if you find that you're already back up on your feet, grab a little drink. You don't need a Resist-A-Band, but something that if the Resist-A-Band is all you have and you don't have the stretch out strap, then grab it. It'll be useful, but you don't need something with elastic or tension, I should say. The cactus has got, you guys might not be able to see it, but whereas there was one bloom on Friday, this thing, the flowers just keep getting bigger. Tell me that that's just not pretty. Look at them. My goodness. My girlfriend, they're actually moving today, so she'll be claiming her plant, and then I'll have to find something else. But Richie Rich got me really lovely flowers. I love flowers. Okay, stretch out strap. One foot, get it anchored. Settle in the back body line. You are going to help this leg. Don't make the quadricep do the work. Let your hands guide the rope, right? So that the weight of your leg, you're using your strong arms. Now I've got this braid, right? So I'm able to keep my head where it needs to be because my braid is actually helping to prop my head up. So my chin is actively being pulled towards my chest. I'm not only that, I'm intentionally trying to slide my shoulder blades down into the mat, right? And on your next lift, hold that. So the arms, the elbows just get to kind of relax. The arms are down, shoulder blades are pulled back, chin is actively being drawn to the chest. And can you do some circles? Work that little ankle around. If your hamstrings are really tight and you need to bend the other leg, then that's one way for you to get a more vertical line with your stretching leg. And you can really put the focus, reverse your rotation of that circle. You can put the focus on the hamstring instead of feeling like you're fighting your position. All right, so as you watch this foot come around, when it comes down into its flexed position, toes down to the knee, reach the opposite hand up the strap, and now guide that leg cross body. Bend the leg to take the pressure off, reset it up pull, bend the leg, rock the hips back to neutral, straighten the leg, pull across, bend the leg. So do you see what we're doing here, right? It's less about seeing and more about feeling. When the leg is straight and you break this midline stretch right about there, the stretch line is lengthening. And then as the leg gets closer to the floor, it should be pretty intense. And then as soon as you bend your leg, your muscle says, ah, reprieve, right? Reset, inhale, pull across, feel the stretch, flex the foot, bend the leg, no more stretch. Wow. Do one more. Take it up, foot is flexed, rotate the toes in if you can. That'll increase that line of, I don't want to say a discomfort, but you'll know that you're doing more intense stretch. Soften the knee, bring it back up. So phase number 2 for the adductor. Now its same hand is reaching up as the stretching leg side, okay? You're going to let your grip lessen so that as your leg floats out to the side, your elbow can be your anchor to the floor. And now, if that's not enough stretch, bend the leg, re-straighten the leg. This time, when you take it out to the side, don't let the hand slide so far. You still want your elbow as your grounding position. The closer your foot sweeps up towards the shoulder line, the deeper your stretch will be. But sometimes bend the leg. Sometimes when we take the leg and we open it out, the other half of our body wants to roll with it. And what I want you to do is squeeze the glute on the far leg so that everything stays settled where it's supposed to. Soften the knee, inhale, take it up, open it out. This is going to be your last one on this side. And it might be that once you get the leg opened, that then, right, you can use the other arm, pull on the strap, reset the hand that's holding. How do we use the strap to our advantage? Because we're getting ready to do another crossover stretch. So as you soften the knee, let the strap slide, pick up your head, think IT band, insertion point of the IT band. So now back to opposite hand, holding the strap, the leg is bent, head is off the floor. You're gonna try to pull that thigh or the foot down just on the outside of that thigh. This is just a little coordinated dance that your hands are doing with the strap. So now go back to same hand to the stretching leg holding the strap because you need this other hand to gently get hold of that knee and pull. Shoulder blades are working down towards the floor. This is just a pinpoint stretch right in the outer quadrant of this hip. And sometimes when we get our legs crisscrossed, what often can happen to people is that they will feel a pinching along the inside of the leg instead of actually able to feel the outer stretch. So if that's happening to you, then just release the leg because that's where we're all going. Release the leg. And we're going to leg number 2, right? So swing them up, rock the hips a little bit, switch it out. We've got internal and external hip rotation, okay? And the up and the down. So once you feel like you get your foot where it needs to be, you're gonna work that strap up, 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 up. The other leg is down. How much work is required of your body to keep the down leg down? When you pull this high leg for its vertical line, does the back of the down thigh pull off the floor too? Because that just represents a tightness through the hip line, which we wouldn't be surprised at, right? But if you can keep your down leg down, then do. And if it's too much fight, then put all your focus on the moving leg, right? Because I'd rather you bend this other leg so that you can really focus on the hamstring stretch that you're getting. If your foot is just up there attached to you, but you're not giving it any movement of ankle flexion, when your leg comes up, all you're going to do is rock the toes down and increase the stretch. So this is going to be our holding position here. Now that you're holding, you can get your shoulders to pull back to the floor, right? And we're going to just work our little circles. It might not be the most comfortable position with the strap, right? Rubbing along the foot line as you're circling it. Just kind of block that out because you only got one more direction. Reverse circles, you're doing about 5. Inhale as one aspect of the circle takes place. Exhale at the other. Inhale, exhale. And now coming into the crossbody stretch. Opposite hand reaches up to that foot. Start the pull. Ah, that is just fantastic. To ease out of it, soften the knee, roll the hips back to center, re-straighten the leg. Here's where I'm inhaling. Pull across, exhale, exhale, exhale. Flex the foot if you want a little bit more. Soften the knee, back to neutral. Up you go. Crisscross. Flex the foot. Hinge. Rock it back. 2 more. Got my candles lit. I have to tell you that coriander and lemongrass candle is such a pleasant aroma to it. It makes me want to leave it lit all day. Reach the leg up, open to the side, right? Soften the knee, bring it up, inhale. So same arm with the working or the stretching leg. The other arm can stay open. Squeeze the bun on the non-moving leg. Anchor the stretching leg. Soften the knee, swing it back up. You don't have to soften the knee, but it is a lot easier to get the leg back up. 2 more. Squeeze the buns. Hinge it. This is going to be the last one, and then we're going to take it into the piriformis, or I should say the IT band. Now, bring it up. Watch your head. Head comes up, chin is tucked, eyes on the foot. Use your hands, pull the leg in. See if you can get that foot to slide down, and then trade the strap so that the same hand to the stretching leg has the strap, because you need the free hand to help you get that cross body anchoring system here. And now tuck the chin, shoulders pull away. Your foot does not have to stay on the floor, right? If you can't get hand to knee, then just elevate the foot a little bit until you change the angle and see if you can get those 2 parts together. This is such a specific position for the stretch that often you'll need to just like let the body try to relax so that you can go, where exactly am I feeling that? It's subtle. It's slightly awkward. Okay, you ready? Pick up your head, tucking of the chin. So we now have a space, this little triangular patch, right? From the high leg to the low leg. You're going to take the low leg, start bending it, slide it up to get all of that space gone. And then both legs are going to draw to you. We're not really using the strap. You can,
Okay. But how much effort would it be for you to really, really get those legs snugged in nice and tight to one another, and then your hands grabbing towards the ankles, and then put the head back down. So now, if you've got your feet and the legs are just hanging down, I want you to elevate the feet. And here's where it's like you're working with somebody else's parts, right? One leg is easier to control than the other, right? So shoulder blades pulling to the floor, press your thighs away from your chest. You see your hands are stabilizing the ankles, and the knees may be drawing really tight to your body, but I want you to push your knees away from you to reestablish S curve to your spine. And now take all the fight out. You can take the strap off of one leg. Just switch the crisscrossed legs. The key is you've got to offset the legs in order to really get them tight into that zone right there. And then hands to ankles if you can. And if I was standing with you while your head's off the floor, right? Look at your hip line. If you can tell that your hips are all like twisted to one side, like it should be noticeable to you. If you had a point of reference, can you swivel your hips so that they're both on the same plane? And you might not be able to do that. This is the effort part of it. While we're holding both ankles, the hips want to slide to one side. Try to swish the hips back to neutral and then reset the rest of your stretch. Put the back of the neck down, push the knees away from you, right? Shoulder blades pulling down. A few more seconds. And release, relax, unfold the legs. Just let your legs roll from side to side, a little back stretch. If you can get your arms all the way open to T, even better. Now stay with me on this one. We're going to increase the stretch. Go ahead and put the feet down. Just get your hips back to neutral. Your legs can stay a little bit apart. When you, I say this, so we're going to let the legs continue to float side to side. And what's going to happen is we're going to alternating twist the hand. So the arm that's opposite to the direction that the legs are twisting, I want that hand palm up. And the direction that the legs have floated, that hand is going to be palm down. So now as the legs work up, start rotating the hands, right? And the legs float. Rotate the hands and the legs float. If your head is cocked back, you've got too much space between the back of your neck and the floor. Actively do your little bit of your cervical spine retraction. Lift the knees, twist the arms. Now, does it matter which way your arms are going when your legs twist? Leave your legs here and go ahead and switch the hand position. So the palm is up on the same side that the legs are bent to, and turn the palm down on the other. Ready? Lift the knees, flip the hands. The stretch, you should feel like you're getting a nice extra stretch through the forearm and the bicep, right, of the arm that's in the far reaching position. All right. Legs come up, switch the hands, palm is down. Right. And this will help you identify, are your shoulders jacked up towards your ears, or can you actually glide the shoulder blades down? Do one more. And if somewhere along the line you're trying to figure out what hand is supposed to be up, just realize that that's probably not as important as one up and one down. Bring the legs back to neutral. Take a moment, pull the navel in, give me your little bridge just to reset the hips, knees to chest. Work your shoulders off the floor. Keep drawing your chin to your chest. See how close can you get your forehead to your knees. Now let the head pull away a little bit. Tightly wrap your arms. Can you get elbows, right? Hands grabbing the elbows, shoulders out of the ears. Pull the chin to your chest. Start lowering the back of your head to the floor. Now push your knees against your arms and pull the shoulder blades down. And then stop pushing, release the legs. We're going into our scorpion. So take your time rolling over. If when you roll over, you feel like you're high enough, you want to go grab a swig of water, do it. I hope that you guys like the scorpion as much as I do. It's such a great maneuverability for your body to be able to twist and rock back. What I will tell you is that if you try to get a little bit of lift away from the floor so that you don't feel like your chest is being mashed down, this is really helpful, right? So we're suspending the head a little bit. I'm going to use this hand to help rotate my hips, right? So the arm that my legs are rotated to, that arm is lengthened, the hand is spread, right? The fingers are separated and it's flat palm to the floor. And this is going to be side to side. Turn the head, slide the reaching arm nice and long and straight, spread the fingers, gently the hips rotate. Maybe you're starting to feel your body embrace this stretch, and getting your foot to find the floor might not seem like an effort. I don't want you to fight to get it there. It doesn't have to end up touching the floor. But what I do want you to try to do is uplift your knee. Now, this stretch has so much more to offer if you can really figure out how to get your shoulder blades depressed. That's first. Don't retract the shoulder blades. First, slide the shoulders down away from the ears. As you go into the next side, another little nugget of setup. When the leg lifts and you start rotating, before you get all the way over there, lengthen the neckline, get the shoulders depressed, spread the fingers, squeeze the buns. Your pelvic tilt and your depressed shoulders is really where this stretch takes on this like surprising sensation through the bicep, the elbow, the forearm. But more importantly, we're actually doing a stretch for the front of our shoulder, right? So the pec muscles and that anterior delt come out of it. Do one more like this, right? So don't let yourself rotate too far before you start enlisting the checklist. Depress the shoulders. Pull your head back. That's your cervical spine retraction. Zip up through the pelvis, right? You're in pelvic tilt so that your spine is neutral, right? Now, we're going to go in and do three more repetitions, but your arm is now going to be bent. Okay. So I'm going to start with the arm that you guys can actually see. The crucial part of this is everything that we were doing with the straight arm, we have to start with shoulders depressed, right? Glide them down. The chest lifts slightly from the floor. The head is in head float. And now take the leg. You're not going to get nearly as far into the stretch with your arm bent. But if you're looking at your arm that you're stretching and that hand is sliding in and you no longer have a 90-degree bent,
position with wrist and elbow, right? Then you need to open the arm back up. So now what we're getting at is what's called the pec minor. And for so many people who get that little biting sensation at the top of their arm, kind of where the bicep and the anterior delt meet, roll back. You're going to switch sides. Look at your arm you're setting up. Elbow, hand, right? Shoulders pulling away from the floor. So we are in depressed position. Start squeezing the buns. As soon as you lift that leg, imagine that someone's at your elbow, pulling your arm away from your body a little bit more. And I have this other hand kind of helping me just hold my position. The degree of your hip rotation will be significantly decreased with your bent arm stretch, right? So the ear is just floating above the floor, shoulders pulled back. As you come out of it, let's just do one more on each side. Ready? I said 3, but we're going to do 2. So placing the arm. And now, if you look at the screen for just a second, because it's kind of an obnoxious way to say this, but right now you should feel like your body is kind of pressing bust chest into the floor, but really we want to get off of the center of the boob and we want to get into this side press. So before you start finagling your hips, get your shoulders where you need to be, lift the chest a little bit to rotate the bust mass to get onto the side boob. This is really important. And then the other arm is actively helping you hold your position. Shoulders out of the ears, recruit the leg. Zip and tuck. There's nuances to every setup, right? For every stretch and release. You might be going, oh my gosh, I can't believe how tight I am there. There's nothing comfortable about this stretch, right? So now, other arm, take the chest, lift up, get off of the front mass, get onto the side boob, make sure that hand hasn't slid in towards the mat edge. Shoulders are out of the ears. This other arm is giving you a really good support. Brace into it, right? Pick up the leg. The head just is ear hovering right above the floor. Now, before you get too far with that leg, pelvic tilt. So tight. All right, zip and tuck. And back to center. Ooh. Okay. Prop yourself up on your elbows for a moment. We are going to be on our hands and knees next. So just want you to settle here for just a second. Wiggle the hips, kind of take all the focus off of what the fronts of your shoulders just did. But, you know, I try to give you all some pointers about when you notice that your body is getting tight in certain areas. And for example, when we overuse that, I want to call it the bicep tendon, but what happens is when our chest muscles get so tight, it can often trigger a pinching and a biting in the shoulder. And so this scorpion stretch doesn't feel comfortable, but yet it's really a useful stretch if you ever find yourself with this nagging, like it's almost considered like a little tendonitis. If you will commit to your memory, start pushing yourself up, that when you have certain types of pain, like I've addressed the SI joint, right? So the 90-90 sit is a really useful stretch for trying to release discomfort in the SI joint. The nagging little pain that you can get at the tops of your shoulders, the scorpion stretch is really useful to help offset and stretch the parts of your body that are causing those painful little things. And when you know that and you start feeling something that doesn't feel right, you can treat it before it gets to um, chronic pain. So from hands and knees, I want you to spread the knees, try to flatten out the tops of the feet into the mat, press the hips back. As soon as you actively press the tops of the feet to the floor, your foot response may be cramp, okay, across the tops of those toes. If that's the case, then you're going to push the toes into the floor, rock back, right? Flatten them out, try to press back. You just keep coming up and releasing the stretch if you have to. But for right here, you're in child's pose. We're in a wide leg position so that our body can have some place to draw down. And if you were somebody who was having pinching going on in their shoulders, then I don't want you to reach your arms forward. I just want you to pull them back, take the pressure off of that joint. And now come up. So everybody should have at least a yoga block, a towel, a pillow close by for this very reason. As you go to sit down, if your knees protest you being fully seated on the feet, then build your little support base up. It is a game changer what happens here if you give yourself the right prop. Maybe one pillow's not enough, right? So you determine that. I don't need the pillow, so I'm not going to use it. And we're going to start addressing the alignment, right? So raise up, close the gap in between the knees, keep closing it, closing it, closing it, right? And now I'm going to face you because sometimes having the frontal view is worth more than all the words. See what I'm doing with my feet? Feet are wider than my hip base. Can you come down? Maybe you're like, well, no. Your feet are going to want to slide back in. Here's where I would say brace yourself, right? Look at the angle that your foot's creating. Can you change how your ankle is getting loaded so that your body, right? And maybe you're like, well, I guess I need the pillow after all because I can't get down there. It is just so liberating when you put your prop in. And now the knees are together, the feet are sitting wide. You can look at your toes. Are the toes like overlapping? Are the toes twisted? Because I want you to take each toe and really starting at your big toe and try to pull it and align the foot. And I'm going to get off my pad. I was just showing you. So if you come off the pad and you realize that your hip line is not touching the floor, even this is such an awareness for me because I used to not have any trouble getting my hips, feet splayed, touching the floor. What's happening is we're just getting tighter and tighter across the knees. So you just keep bolstering your body line as much as you need to. And with my hips off the floor, if yours are touching the floor, fantastic. I still want you to do this next thing with me. Okay. I want you to squeeze your buns, pelvic tilt, and try to lift the hip bones like you're doing a bridge. That will give you a massive stretch. So regardless of how high your hips are from touching the floor, you can put some weight into your hands, bolster the hips up, and you'll feel another version of a quadricep and knee stretch, right? So just let yourself rock from side to side and looking at your feet, right? Can you get those toes? Because as your body settles into the stretch, you can the more seconds we spend here, you will be able to make more adjustments with your line, right? And you just do your very, very best. So don't be alarmed at uncomfortable feeling. What I personally do is I guide myself into the side that is putting up a little bit of protest. My left side, it could sit here all day. My right side, it's like, okay, it's getting stretched. I'm not surprised that my foot has a slightly different angle to it than what's happening on my left. I'm trying to get my right foot to actually do the correct alignment. And so we're only going to be here for a few more seconds. See if you can squeeze the knees together, get your body line, wiggle the hips down, as much pillow support as you need so that what you feel is stretch, not strain. And now, as you ease out of it, come up. Woo. Okay. We're going to finish with our standing stuff. So get yourself up. Think wrists and ulnar nerve, right? Ulnar nerve. We'll throw a little tricep stretch in there too. All right. Using hands, fingers pointed into the body line. You do not have to stand still. So if you feel like your legs, want a little movement, work around your space, push those wrists right into the side body, spread the fingers, and then the arms just come forward until you feel like your wrists are getting a nice stretch. Shoulders out of the ears. Okay. I've got my thumb and my pinky pulled as far away from one another as I can. The opposite of this is going to happen in just a second. All right. So now releasing. Okay. Give me some circles. Reverse circle. And I want you to take one arm, reach it forward. Use the hand, pull the fingers down. We're going to incorporate what's happening through the wrist and the elbow. Okay, and incorporate some neck positions here. So the arm is pulling down, gently let the chin rise. It's when we bring the chin down that you're going to just feel a massive stretch down the neck and kind of a few inches beyond the cervical spine. So as we change head positions, eyes open so you don't get dizzy, draw your chin to your chest. See if you can get the shoulders to slide down a little bit. Pull the belly in. This stretch hits me and it goes all the way down my thoracic. And now releasing the head, relaxing the arm, right? Maybe you need to open and close, do a few circles. Arm number 2, push it forward, grab, let the fingers line up, pull the hand, right? You're pressing your wrist forward. Draw the fingers towards your body. And sadly, there's nothing we can really do about our thumb other than if your thumb wants to be like closed in towards the other fingers, try to spread it so that we have some space here, okay? And now, chin to chest or chin to ceiling, doesn't matter, right? Which way you go, because we're going to do them both. And switch the head position, eyes open. You using your hand, the other hand, to pull your fingers, it could be anything. We could walk up and put our arm against a wall or a door jamb. Just getting those fingers pulled back is the real trick here. And release and relax back to your circles. Close the gap between those feet. Let your ear, right, head float, ear to shoulder. Take it gently the other way. And this is going to be our last stretch. So if you can stay with me, okay? As you come up out of this, when I had you on your back with your legs bent, we then went and did a leg rotation and this alternating arm rotation. Okay, so think that. Open your leg stride a little bit. So we get a lot of we get bound up at the junctions, the hip junction and the shoulder junction, right? So I want you to imagine that someone is standing on each side of you and they've got a little bit of tug of war going. So soften your knees. I want you to, as you reach with one arm, I want the other arm, it can twist up or down, right? But I'm going to take mine up, and the arm that I'm imagining someone's pulling on, that one's palm down, but my other arm is up and we're going for this length. And so my body, I'm trying to like get my body to go with it. And now as you come up, go the other way, right? So now someone's fighting for your attention. This is also giving you a little stretch through that upper hip area too. Change the positions, right? Push, 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 push. This time I'm going palm up to the side I'm reaching to, palm down on the other side. Let the head float away. So what side's really getting the stretch, right? Both sides. There's two different things happening. You really can't do it wrong, just twisting your arms, right? Reach out. Do one more. Reach out, right? Let the head float away from the trailing arm. Reach out. Let that neck get your stretch. And now release, lift and breathe. Inhale, exhale, relax. Job well done. Knocking it out of the park on Monday. I hope you guys have a great day.